Hello and welcome. So the official advisory has come from the BCCI that the IPL has been immediately suspended, but interestingly, the suspension is for a week. Joining me, my colleague Gargi Raut, and we will give you the details. And by the way, in this particular broadcast, there will be some assumptions. And I'm making that very clear that we will actually read the BCCI media advisory, then try and understand what the media advisory actually is trying to state. As Gargi reads it out to you, I'd request her to read the BCCI media advisory that has officially come to us. It has officially been released by the BCCI about 10 minutes back. Please hear the advisory from her, and then we will try and break down the advisory for each one of you. Gargi, over to you.
So the official statement reads, the Board of Control for Cricket in India has decided to suspend the remainder of the IPL with immediate effect for 1 week. Further updates regarding the new schedule and venues of the tournament will be announced in due course after a comprehensive assessment of the situation in consultation with relevant authorities and stakeholders. The decision was taken by IPL Governing Council after due consultation with all key stakeholders following the representations from most of the franchisees, who conveyed the concern and sentiments of their players and also the views of the broadcasters, sponsors, and fans. While the BCCI reposes full faith in the strength and preparedness of our armed forces, the board considered it prudent to act in the collective interest of all stakeholders. At this critical juncture, the BCCI stands firmly with the nation. We express our solidarity with the Government of India, the armed forces, and the people of our country. The board salutes the bravery, courage, and selfless service of our armed forces, whose heroic efforts under Operation Sindoor continue to protect and inspire the nation, as they lead a resolute response to the recent terrorist attack and the unwarranted aggression by Pakistan's armed forces. While cricket remains a national passion, there is nothing greater than the nation and its sovereignty, integrity, and security. The BCCI remains firmly committed to support all efforts that safeguard India and will always align its decisions in the best interest of the nation. The BCCI thanks its key stakeholders, GeoStar, the league's official broadcaster, for understanding and unwavering support. The board is also grateful to title sponsor and all associate partners and stakeholders for coming forward with their unequivocal support for this decision and for putting national interest above all other considerations.
So that's the media advisory. But while Gargi read out the full part, there are certain key elements here. And what are the key elements? The key elements are as follows. Just read the first paragraph once more. The BCCI has decided to suspend the ongoing IPL with immediate effect for 1 week. Keywords: 1 week. Further updates regarding the new schedule and venues of the tournament will be announced in due course after a comprehensive assessment of the situation in consultation with relevant authorities and stakeholders. This tells me three things, and I would want her opinion as well. One, a decision of the scale as significant as this could not have been taken by the BCCI in isolation. This decision 100% must have been taken because it's India's only global sports brand and a symbol of India's soft power to the world. Cricket is not just a game in India, it is national religion. The economics of the game is as massive as what it is. You are actually talking about India's portrayal in front of the world. A decision as significant as this could not have been taken without the stamp of approval of the Ministry of Defense, the Ministry of External Affairs, or rather, the Government of India. This could not have been taken in isolation. Point number one. Point number two, from what we had heard earlier, and we had absolutely cross-checked with the BCCI and sources, that it would be suspended indefinitely for the moment. Here also they've said they've suspended it for a week with recalibration or reassessment in the offing. Now, this reassessment point or this week is basically a clear indication that the board might just want to recalibrate depending on the on-ground reality. So anyone and everyone, a lot of you watching our broadcast at 12 o'clock were asking, 12:30, that will it be played during Asia Cup? Will it be played during the window of the Bangladesh tour? A lot of media people, and by the way, if you remember, we said that this is not the time. This is not the time to jump the gun. We have to wait and then watch. A lot of media people have also tweeted it will be played during the time of the Asia Cup. Hello. That's where you need to recalibrate. While they say a week, will the recalibration entail that the IPL is rescheduled in parts of South India? Does it entail that it will be played out in parts of Eastern India? Does it entail that they will reassess the situation in a manner where the escalation or chances of provocation by the terror-ridden state of Pakistan is less? Will it then be played in these areas? Will they recalibrate with the franchises? These are all, by the way, these are assumptions that I have. The third and final assumption, and I'll go to Gargi on this one, rather all, is this reassessment will also depend on de-escalation from the Pakistan side. If any of you watched the Foreign Ministry briefing by Secretary Vikram Mishri, you will know that the use of the word restraint, the use of the word measured, the use of the word de-escalation has been repeatedly emphasized by India. India stood firm in protecting its sovereignty and had to do what it did because of the provocation against Indian citizens on the 22nd of April in Pahalgam. If there is de-escalation from the Pakistani side, something that has been repeatedly emphasized by the Foreign Secretary, we will also see something like that from the Indian side. India has not been the aggressor. That is the point that you absolutely must take into account. If you take that into account and then read this media advisory, you know that between the lines, a lot is being said. And we are following the advisory not simply by spirit, but also by letter. That is my assumption or my understanding of this particular advisory. And now it's over to Gargi for her understanding.
If you look at the multiple statements, multiple briefings that have been done by the foreign ministers, by the Indian army, the multiple updates that are being put out across social media, by many other handles as well of the government of India, of the Indian army, of the defense ministry as well. When you look at all of these statements, there is one commonality, and that is that India is defending itself. And defending itself against unwarranted aggression from Pakistan. And if you really look at it, the first unwarranted aggression was Pahalgam. That's where it started. India never escalated anything, and that's what we are gathering from what is being said in that BCCI statement as well. They have very clearly mentioned that it is a stand against unwarranted aggression from Pakistan and the attacks at Pahalgam. So when you really look at all of this, and the foreign minister as well, it is clear that through the diplomatic channels as well, India is trying to de-escalate the situation, but it's always Pakistan that has been the aggressor. India is merely trying to defend its sovereignty, defend its citizens, and that has what we have been seeing for the past few days. Yesterday as well, there was a lot of aggression from Pakistan when it comes to the western side of India, the western border. Throughout the western border, there were multiple attacks that were intercepted, that were foiled. But at the same time, with the BCCI, it's clear that while they say that it is suspended for a week, they will definitely recalibrate. This is not a guarantee that IPL will start or continue after a week, unless the ground situation has de-escalated. I don't think it will continue after a week, at least for now.
So what she's trying to say is in case of de-escalation, the recalibration will come into effect and we will possibly see a restart or a rescheduling. That's what she's trying to say. Now again, reading between the lines, this decision could not have been taken without the footprint of the government of India. This has the clear stamp of the government of India. By the way, Debajit Saikia is a legal luminary. Debajit Saikia knows the law. I mean, he's a legal luminary himself. The point is, the BCCI is clearly going to monitor, reassess, and then take a call. At this point, if there is de-escalation from the Pakistan standpoint, there will obviously be de-escalation from the Indian side as well. Globally, if you see, a lot of global powers are trying to mediate and are trying to convey this to Pakistan in unequivocal terms. That is what we are getting from the foreign ministry briefing as well. Each time, each time a provocative question was asked of the Foreign Secretary Vikram Mishri, if you go and see the kind of restraint and measured response that he's giving, you clearly know what India's stand is. Coming to the IPL, where will the IPL be played? Will it go out of India? Will the IPL stay in India in different venues? Will there be one or two venues? Will it be one city or something like that in the past where a couple of stadiums exist or three stadiums exist? These are questions that are slightly premature at this point in time. Having said that, having said that, if you try and speak to sources within the board, if you try and speak to people, you know that the south of India is a certain option. You absolutely know that the east of India is also a certain option. You absolutely clearly understand where this is headed, provided that there is national de-escalation. Absolutely, at this point in time, you don't want sport and entertainment. You want to be resolute, you want to be firm, you want to stand firm behind your armed forces as they guard us against enemy aggression. Having said that, in a week, this entire infrastructure will have to be redone, schedules will have to be drawn up, stakeholders will have to be taken into confidence, players will have to be taken into confidence, and maybe there will be a clear cut reassessment on the part of the BCCI. That is the update as of now. Don't jump the gun and say IPL will be played during the Asia Cup. Don't jump the gun and say the Bangladesh tour will be called off and IPL will be played then. It is not necessary. Let us follow official communication. Like I said very categorically in our 12:30 broadcast. Follow official communication. We are doing that. That's why we said 1 week, because it is part of the BCCI's official communication that this is what they are doing. Gargi Raut, over to you. Last 5 minutes on the show. We'll be back at 5 p.m. with more. But for the moment, sum it up and then I'll close the show.
If you really want to be clear about where the BCCI stands or where the government of India stands, you made this point multiple times that the foreign minister had used words. That press conference was very restrained, and it was clear that every time a question was asked about aggression, it was made clear that India was only defending or India was only responding. And that is a precise word that has also been used in the BCCI statement. If you read one of the paragraphs, which says, the board salutes the bravery, courage, and selfless service of our armed forces, whose heroic efforts under Operation Sindoor continue to protect and inspire the nation as they lead a resolute response to the recent terrorist attack and the unwarranted aggression by Pakistan's armed forces. So it's clear that the message, it's facts. It's facts. When the BCCI or the government of India or the Ministry of Defense put out statements that say that India is merely defending itself against Pakistan's aggression. That's what it is. And BCCI has quite clearly, taken that very, very strong stand. And if I'm not wrong, during COVID as well, for the a similar statement was put out, which only suspended IPL.
But I don't think the similarity.
No similarity.
There is no similarity.
No. There will be recalibration, obviously.
Yes. Having said that, COVID was an international pandemic, and frankly, humanity did not know how to deal with COVID.
100%.
In this case, it is not that. We have an answer. And the answer is the enemy needs to de-escalate. We have an answer that the global powers will want the enemy to de-escalate.
Absolutely.
We know there has to be mediation. There will be. We know that the world is watching. We know that the enemy knows that India had every right to defend itself against aggression. India did that and waited for 14 days for the enemy to do that, failing which India had to stand up and do what it did to terror infrastructure. India did not target civilians. India did not target military establishments in Pakistan.
100%.
India only targeted clear, measured, restrained targets, terror outfits, terror infrastructure. So in this case, we actually know. We actually know what needs to be done. In the case of COVID, neither you nor I, no doctors, nobody, by the way, at that point in time, what is the medicine? We don't know. Here we know. We have a clear-cut understanding of the ground reality. And we know that if there is de-escalation, India will do that as well. India is responding. So India will wait to see how things unfold. So this 1 week is actually a very definitive timeline. If things don't improve and if the enemy doesn't want to de-escalate, then it's a different matter. But at this point in time, this release is clear, and we will go by this release, not what comes later. Going by this release, to think that the IPL will happen in August or September or July is premature. Whether or not it will happen, to even deliberate that is premature. What we need to go about or go with is 1 week later or within this whole 1 week, there will be recalibration and we will get to know more. That is my assumption of the situation, completely basing myself on this particular release. 30 seconds closing words.
Again, it's only a response. What India is doing, what the armed forces are doing, it is all a response to Pakistan's aggression. And when it comes to sport, when it comes to the IPL, like you've said multiple times, let's not jump the gun. Let's not already start talking about when IPL will resume or whether it will happen during the Asia Cup, during when the Asia Cup is being played, or after the India-England series. Let's not go there. First of all, the nation comes first. Our sovereignty comes first. So let's focus on that. Let's stand in unity and solidarity, and salute to our armed forces for whatever they are doing.
We'll be back at 5 o'clock.
Yep.